transitioning into tech will definitely take longer than you think.
Let's talk about the time and commitment it actually takes to make it happen.
When people are considering or start their journey to transition into tech, they always come with the most optimistic timeline, which is good, which is a good way, very optimistic way to start things, but it usually is not realistic because guess what? Life
Reality's
gets in the way. And the reason why this is important for us to talk about is that if you don't have realistic timeline, realistic expectation, when life gets in the way,
you're gonna be discouraged.
You're gonna be thrown off.
Yep.
And I don't want that to happen because I see it happen so much. And the 10 years we've been doing this, it breaks my heart to see so many people with the potential, the ability, the smarts, the skill to do this, but they didn't understand it might
They're
take
not
more.
patient. Yep.
It's not only about patient, it's understanding as they come in the actual reality of what it might take.
And you know, this is something that literally breaks my heart. I've trained many students. I see so much potential. I see them thrive in class. But then the first time they feel that they're failing, and that could be when they take the exam or when they go out to interviews, if they don't succeed the first time, that throws them off.
Completely. Let's take, for example, certification. Okay, your class ends in 6 months. Let's take the Linux for Jobs program, for example. Your class ends, the classes of the training ends within 6 months. But some people, it takes them 2 days after the class ends for them to go sit for the exam. But because someone took it 2 days after and they don't feel ready, they get discouraged. When the average people take 2 months after the exam to go sit, after the program to go sit for the exam. So what happens is that because they saw someone do it within 2 days, they get discouraged.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? When it's fine, it takes a little bit longer, but you did it. You go sit for it and you probably pass it. And the other reality is not every student will pass the exam the first time for the certification.
That's true. Like, I hold 10 certifications and I failed.
What?
Before.
Well, you failed less.
I failed one.
You hear?
But
she failed one.
But it still threw me off.
Yeah.
Like, admit
too
that.
much if you ask me. But
yeah, there was a lot of crying. There was a lot of moping.
I mean, crying, man.
It actually killed the Christmas for me.
Yes, but it's a reality, you know, because some people it's gonna take them 3 attempts.
Yeah.
To get the certification. And I want this to be clear and to be built into your expectation. Now, do we want it to take three tries? No. Does it always take 3 tries? No.
No.
But
and also, people think that sitting for an exam and passing it just requires you controlling and knowing the technical material. And that is not true. There's an anxiety factor in an exam that's almost as important as your knowledge.
How about the technical apparatus of the testing process? Sometimes it's not your fault.
The testing center
gets glitchy.
Yes, we've seen that a lot. Sometimes you've never been in a proctored exam. Like if you go to a testing center, you have somebody walking behind you. If you're taking it from home, there's a dude literally telling you, scan your room so that I can see if you have anything written down.
It's a high anxiety
nothing on your desk. They're telling you, did somebody just open your door? And all these things are generating anxiety.
Yeah. So a lot of people, they come in, they think, okay, the program is going to be 6 months. So I'm going to get my certification within 2 weeks after that. And then I'm going to get into the apprenticeship and excel, and then I'm gonna get my job within 9 months. Yeah, believe it or not, some people do it.
Some people do, but there's also a commitment factor. how do you set yourself up to make it happen in record time? Because the person that takes the exam 2 days after cert prep is done basically booked that exam 8 weeks before or even 6 months before. And since week 1 of cert prep,
they are studying.
They are studying like they're going to take that exam 6 weeks later.
There's a commitment factor.
So that commitment factor determines how soon you can do things, how you show up to things. If you wait until the last day of class to book that exam and to start studying like you're taking an exam, you're going to need many more weeks.
Yeah. So it varies for some people. And for example, another very typical example is that you get distracted for 3-4 weeks during the class because of family issues. You had to travel, a vacation. Well, I don't even agree with the vacation thing, because I don't think you should plan anything vacation related within that time. And that's my point of view.
These are the things that break my heart.
That's my point of view. But anyway, it happens. But this can throw you off. But because it throws you off, you don't have to get out of the game. You see what I mean? It will now increase the amount of time it takes you to actually get to the destination, but don't let it throw you off. The kind of vacation I hate the most? When they take vacation after the program ends, before they take their certification. It's the worst time. It's the worst thing you can do for your process. Because what it does is it breaks the momentum.
Yeah.
It takes your mind completely out of study and focus mode, and then you have to go back into it.
I have a strategy around that. Like, I only do certifications during the winter, because the minute spring starts, I want to be hiking, I want to be drinking mimosas on Saturdays, and there's no way for me to stay focused. And I've seen that with students. There's actually somebody very near and dear my heart that rides motorcycles. Mm-hmm. And I remember he finished the program in June, but the minute he could start riding that motorcycle, we lost him.
We lost him.
And he's still not back 2 years after.
Yeah, because he broke the momentum.
Yep.
Me, if you're going to plan a vacation, you should plan it as a reward for passing the cert.
Yeah.
Because the cert to me is an official milestone. Before you get into an apprenticeship, you make it a reward. But don't take a vacation after the training, because taking training doesn't mean much if you don't have that capstone.
And there's ways to do it. We've actually had students that have taken the vacation immediately, but they commit to studying at least 1 or 2 hours a day. I'm not telling you to not go to the beach or to not do things with your family, but at least keep that material fresh in your head, because in the exam, you're time crunched, you're stressed. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't only have to know the thing, you have to know how to do it fast, especially for the Red Hat exam.
And another place where it can take longer than most, and you have to get ready for that, is when you start your job search. Because there are so many factors. Some people are just better at selling themselves than others.
Interviewing is a skill.
So if you are just acquiring that skill, so you look at everybody's getting their job within 3 months, and it's been 7 months you haven't gotten yours, do not freak out.
The tech hiring process is very different than other careers. Like, usually you have to interview with 4 or 5 people. The interviews are pretty different. Like, you'll have a technical screening, which is going to be like an HR person or a recruiter, just asking you simple questions where you have to give one answer. Like, do you know what file controls how the file system is mounted? And you're supposed to say etcfs, right? It's like a one-word answer. But then you move into a technical interview that's probably going to be with somebody that's part of the team that you'll be part of. Then you'll go to the hiring manager.
Yeah.
Then you will go with somebody from a totally different team that you'll be supporting. So it's like many rounds. And if you were in a different career, like if you were a nurse, you probably never went through that. So
Yeah.
why would you expect to succeed on your first round?
Yeah, and we talked about this in other videos. It's also about not giving it a choice, but to work. If you already decided that this is gonna work either way, sometime it's gonna take 10 interviews, sometime it's gonna take 3, sometime it's gonna take 20.
Also, can we talk about how many applications you need to put in to get 10 interviews?
Exactly.
It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. It's a law of averages.
Yeah.
So your job is out there if you are committed to actually working until you get it.
Yeah.
You know?
So one thing people don't account for is that the first round of elimination when you apply to a job is most likely going to be done by a system. Or, if you're lucky, a recruiter, an HR person that's just going to skim through that resume. Mm-hmm. So that recruiter or that system is just looking for keywords. So guess what? If you didn't put the keywords that that company was looking for, they're not going to call you back. You're not going to get an interview.
And one thing I noticed with you, and I wish we could spend more time with the student on about that, is the way you prepare for interviews. When Paloma is preparing for an interview, I don't know if you've seen that movie Minority Report, when you see things written all over the wall. She prepares for the interview just like that. She has a method. She has a process of preparing.
It looks like an FBI investigation.
It looks like an FBI investigation on the walls. But 99% of people don't put that kind of energy into interviewing. So what happens is they might still get a job, but they need more. They need more reps. You see what I mean? So
and also, I don't get the job because it's easy for me. It's actually very hard. The anxiety level that interview is raising me makes me like pause my life. I am sure I am not the best mother, the best wife that week.
I know.
Real talk. So the way I see it is, I am gonna be a horrible person while I'm interviewing.
You're not a horrible person. You're a person in the
Let
in the
me
zone.
get this out of the way. So what can I do to make this process go faster? And for me, that is over preparing.
Yeah.
So I make sure I have stories. I make sure I have my STAR method down to the T. Like
stories, scenarios, and stuff like that. People and some people they approach the job search too casually. So now they are just applying, and they think the actual act of applying should get them a job. No. It's just you apply to a job. Now you have to put in the work. You have to research the company. So, it might take more time for someone like that to get a job.
Another mistake is thinking that just knowing the technical stuff will do the job at the interview. And that's actually just half of the story probably.
Yeah.
Because when you're interviewing, they're not looking for the person that knows Linux and that has experience. They're looking for somebody they would want to work with.
Yeah.
So
you have to sell yourself.
Showing up as yourself. And I'm not talking about the techie Paloma. I'm talking about the quirky Paloma.
Yeah.
The one that's gonna pull jokes. The one that's gonna, like, in my case, I'm a female. I'm interviewing with guys because they're gonna be my coworkers. Like, I'm not gonna talk about football with them because that's not me. But I can tell them what sports I'm into.
Yeah.
I can tell them I've been a runner. I can tell them I dream about climbing Kilimanjaro because these things make me Paloma.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people don't understand, that
they want to see the personality.
Yeah.
They want to understand the personality of who they are interviewing.
Yeah.
Let it shine.
Yep.
Yeah. So all these things can take you more time, but that doesn't mean it's not gonna happen. So if you come in with the right expectation, understanding life can get in the way, lack of preparation can get in the way, you can still correct and make this happen. But it will definitely take you longer than you think.